Hello everyone, welcome to the English class. In this video, I shall explain the story Dusk, which has been written by H.H.Munro. Before I begin, I would like to give a brief introduction of the writer. H.H.Munro, as you can see here in the image, is also called as Saki. H.H.Munro was a Scottish journalist and writer. His pen name was Saki. He was known for writing witty stories which were set in the early 20th century, and he poked fun at society. He was considered a master of short stories. Now, H.H.Munro was a Scottish journalist and writer. He was also called as Saki, and most of his stories were witty in nature. He also highlighted the funny aspects of society. So he was considered as a master of short stories. So let's understand the story Dusk, written by H.H.Munro. Now, what do you understand by the term dusk? As you can see the image here, well, it is the part of the evening that is after sunset and before night. That means when the sun has set and it is the evening has set in, but it is not completely turned dark. So that particular period is called as dusk, as you can see in the image here. So what is dusk? Dusk is a time just before night, when the daylight has almost gone, but when it is not completely dark. So I hope you understand what is the meaning of dusk. So now this particular story, the entire story takes place at dusk time. Okay, now there is a significance attached to this particular term. You'll understand as we go through the story. Now let's begin with the entire story. Now let us understand what the main characters. The main character is a person named Norman Godspie. Now let's read. Norman Godspie sat on a park bench on an early March evening. It was 30 minutes past 6 and dusk had fallen heavily. So Norman Godspie sat on a park bench. And which month was it? It was the month of March. And what time of the day? It was dusk time. That is 6:30 p.m. That is evening time. So dusk had already set in. I told you what is dusk. It is the part of the evening after sunset but before night falls. Okay, let's read further. The road and sidewalks wore a look of emptiness, occupied only by silent figures that moved through the half-light or sat quietly on chairs and benches. So the road and sidewalks means footpath. They wore a look of emptiness, meaning there were very few people. There were hardly anyone around except for few people. So it looked empty. And just there were few silent figures, means people who were moving very silently. And they sat quietly on the chairs and benches. Since it is a park, so there are benches there, as you all know. So these silent figures, the silent people have come there to sit quietly on chairs and benches. Now, as per the author, it means these people, the ones who have come to the park, are the ones who have experienced defeat in life, those who are tired or disturbed, and therefore they have come to the park bench just to be peaceful and to get away from their disturbed zone of life. So they have come to the park bench just to be in loneliness and to attain peace. So that they melted into the shadows in which they sat. So now here Norman Godspie is sitting on a park bench, and it is a dusk time, month of March. The road and sidewalks are looking empty, with just few people who are moving silently, and they've come to the park to sit on the bench and just be by themselves. Meaning, dusk, the time just before the night. Sidewalks means footpath. Let's read further. Dusk to Godspie's mind was the hour of the defeated. So according to Godspie, dusk was the hour of the defeated, meaning people who have experienced defeat, they come out at dusk time. Let's read further. He sympathized with them, men and women who fought and lost in life's battle, who came forth in the gloomy hour of dusk. So as per Godspie, all these people who have experienced defeat, they come out at dusk time to sit on the park bench and to experience peace within. They are coming from a disturbed zone of life, they have experienced defeat, and therefore they have come to the park bench to seek solace, to seek peace. Let's read further. He sympathized with them, men and women who fought and lost in life's battle, who came forth in the gloomy hour of dusk, when their shabby clothes and unhappy eyes might pass unnoticed. Shabby clothes means dirty clothes. And just beyond, on the other side of where he sat, were rows of windows from which shone bright lights that cut through the darkness of the evening, forcing it away. To Godspie's mind, it seemed that these brilliant lights marked the abodes of those people who had never had to admit defeat through life's struggles. Thus did Godspie's mind imagine these things as he sat on the bench in the near deserted sidewalk. So, on one side, Godspie saw people sitting on the park bench, those people who have come to seek solace. They have experienced defeat or some kind of disturbance in their life, and they've come to the park bench to feel peace within. On the other side of the road, Godspie sees rows of windows. That means houses where houses of people who have never experienced defeat in life. That means the kind of people who are successful. So on the other side are the homes of those people. And how does he express them? He says that bright light. From the windows there were bright light coming out. So that shows that these people have never experienced defeat or failure in life. So Godspie mentions about two categories of people. One category, the first category are those people who have experienced defeat, and therefore they have come to the park bench to experience peace. On the other side, he says the other category of people who have never had to admit defeat through life struggles. So they are staying in those houses from which bright light is shining. I hope you've understood till here. Meaning, shabby means dirty, abodes means homes. Let's read further. On the bench by his side sat an elderly gentleman with drooping shoulders, but there was a certain daring in his face. His clothes were not shabby, but one would not expect him to wear a carnation in his buttonhole. As he rose to go by, God's spy imagined him returning to a home circle where nobody cared for him. He got up and walked away. Now, one elderly gentleman comes to sit besides Norman. Okay, now his clothes are not so shabby, but at the same time they are not so grand. That means because he is not worn a carnation in his buttonhole. That is the coat's buttonhole. Normally, people wear a flower in a buttonhole when they are happy or in a festive mood. So now this particular old gentleman has not worn very shabby clothes, but at the same time he's not so well dressed as to wear a carnation in his buttonhole. As he gets up to go, God's spy feels that he's going to a home circle. That means to a home where nobody cares for him. So we'll end at this. Meanings: carnation, a type of flower; home circle, family and friends. So in this video we shall end at this particular part of the story and continue further in our next session. Here are some meanings. You may pause the video and note down those meanings, learn them. So children, thank you for watching this video. Take care and God bless you all.